cancer diagnosis doesn't usually come with time to think. Appointments move fast. A treatment plan is determined in minutes. Somewhere in that rush, an entire category of care often goes unnoticed. For decades, cancer treatment has followed one basic model: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. Attack the disease as directly and as quickly as possible. For some patients, that model works. For others, it leaves real questions unanswered. What about the person's body enduring this treatment? The exhaustion, the physical and mental hunger that vanishes, the wear and tear that no test can measure. What about patients who simply want to know the full range of options, not just the nuclear one? These are not fringe questions. They are questions the current system has never had a strong incentive to answer. Tonight, integrative cancer care enters the conversation, not as a replacement for conventional treatment, but as comprehensive care for the best possible outcome. Gold Care Town Hall brings together premier physicians and advocates to open that door. John A. Richardson, Jr., founder of Operation World Without Cancer, brings decades of first-hand experience in nutritional and metabolic approaches to cancer, carrying forward a legacy built on giving patients more options, not restrictions. Dr. Margaret Aranda, an anesthesiologist and critical care physician who built her career in the ICU before turning her research toward cancer and pain, brings a clinical view shaped by treating patients with severe cases. Dr. Jonathan Murphy, a physician with more than 26 years caring for cancer patients, moved from conventional oncology into integrative and metabolic approaches after witnessing the failures of the current system. Together, they examine what integrative cancer care actually looks like, how it can work alongside conventional treatment, and why training more physicians with this approach is so important for patients today and in the years ahead. Cancer treatment has seen only one version for a long time. Here, the full picture finally comes into view. Gold Care, built for you, powered by freedom, trusted by thousands.
Welcome to Gold Care Medical Town Hall. We are so grateful you're here with us tonight, and we have a very special conversation lined up. Tonight, we are talking about the cancer crossroads. It is no question that there are so many different conversations happening around cancer diagnoses and really what the traditional medical industrial complex is and isn't doing for those diagnosed with cancer. Tonight, we are talking about integrative treatment options with a few very special guests. We have John Richardson from the Richardson Nutritional Center and also Operation World Without Cancer. Dr. Margaret's here with us. And then also Dr. Jonathan Murphy is here as well to talk all about their experience working with cancer. We are very excited to kick this conversation off tonight. And now I'm going to turn it over to John. Go ahead.
Gosh, Drew, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. I feel like I'm hanging out with two of my best friends, and I'll include you in that as well, Drew. We've been fighting this battle as my family for the past 50 years. And alongside me, while we were fighting that battle, is these heroic doctors who have put their lives and their careers on the line to heal people naturally. And so tonight we're going to get to hear about some integrative approaches to cancer therapy. And it's now not so much, something that's not out of the mainstream, because even mainstream doctors are learning that if they can help people integratively, that their current treatments are working so much better. I'll mention a hospital in New York, Weill Cornell, New York Presbyterian Hospital, who has recently treated a patient with standard therapy, but used the Richardson method, which we're going to talk about tonight, in conjunction with that, and had such tremendous results. They actually have invited me to come back and tell this hospital in New York exactly what it's all about. So that's a shocking story. I'm telling my friends, Dr. Margaret and Dr. Murphy, but just kind of sets it up that the marketplace is asking for this from us. So it is great to be here. Thank you so much. And, I'm going to turn it right back over to you to make sure that we cover the things that we want to cover tonight and let the audience hear from these two great doctors.
Yeah, it's been I guess I'll step in because it's been my joy and pleasure to see the successes that integrative and comprehensive approach to cancer have provided for patients. Outcomes are what everyone wants, and frankly, when we limit ourselves, we're limiting the potential for better outcomes. When we do this integrative type of care, including nutrition, then things go the right way, because why? The body only knows how to heal, right? So
absolutely. So we just to follow the sections as we go. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Margaret Aranda, a dear friend who I met back at her hometown. And so, Dr. Margaret, it's such a pleasure to have you on here. So what say you, Dr. Margaret Aranda?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I would not be here as an anesthesiologist with specialty training in critical care if my husband, Ed, hadn't had bladder cancer. And it's a blessing in disguise. You know how God works. He had one dose of chemotherapy without proper informed consent. He had a terrible reaction to it that left him hunched over with a walker, miserable. I started calling him my grumpy old man, and he hated it. So I was grateful that God used that opportunity to change him from traditional therapy with chemo, etc., and to rely on prayer, fasting, detox, apricot seeds, other things as well. So I'm just grateful he's been cancer-free now for almost a year. So we're real happy that we stumbled upon this, in a non-traditional way, but it's been working out just fine, and we're super happy.
So why do you think so many cancer patients are searching beyond conventional medicine now?
I think that they're recognizing that there are gaps in conventional care, and it's more of a one-size-fits-all approach with one of three options when you have cancer, like the video said: chemo, radiation, or surgery. And a lot of people know somebody who has had cancer, who died of cancer, and they're looking for something a little bit different, or something that could give them more quality of life without muscle wasting, etc., and without the terrible side effects like the ones that Ed had with his chemo.
Yeah, a lot of patients feel, rushed when they get a cancer diagnosis. I know your medical career started off in anesthesiology and critical care, so people are always rushed in that type of situation. But what got you interested in oncology beyond your husband's cancer diagnosis?
Just the very wonderful exercise of learning new things, of watching what the world has come to with big pharma. And also, I think to me, it's very important, the nutrition aspects of cancer. And also, I believe that natural remedies, God brought them to us for a reason. I love Genesis 1:29, where it says that God gave us the seeds. I give you every seed-bearing plant in the world for for our benefit. And some say as meat even. So, and we know the Hunzas, right? The tribe, that their women live to have babies when they're 65. There's something that we've been missing in our culture and our industrialized society. And I think a lot of people want to go back to what God thinks, what God did, and what some cultural populations have experienced.
Yeah, that's one of my notes is Genesis 1:29, because as a Christian, God wasn't joking around when he said we should have the seed for thy food. But we have a couple more seconds in this opening period. What gives you hope as a physician right now for what you're going through?
I love that we have choices. We have so many choices. And I love that, for example, fasting is inexpensive. It's free. God gave us certain things. He made our body to heal itself. He, gave us the ability to repair damaged tissue. And that's what I love the most.
Awesome. That's excellent. So we're going to move over to my good friend, Dr. John Murphy, and he is my doctor of record. We went through a battle together. We can probably have some time to talk about that a little later. But Dr. Murphy and I met through one of his patients that was told he was going to die within 10 weeks. And he was getting his burial plot set out. And he was deciding end of life things. And Reggie is the guy's name who's given us permission to mention his name, is now alive 7 years later. I believe that's 7 years later, but he and I have also become friends. I've interviewed him, and he had an accident in sports, met Dr. Murphy and was healed and is alive today after being told he had 10 weeks to live. So, that's just one of the stories. So my dear friend, Dr. John Murphy, welcome, and tell people about, what is your theme for today?
Well, really, it is that we need the nutrition for our body to do all that it can. And in a lot of ways, the current food supply has taken a lot of nutrients that used to be in the regular diet away. And I think that when we give our bodies what it needs, it does the best job. I mean, and frankly, that's what's been taken out of the food supply, maybe accidentally, maybe intentionally. However, I've got a lot of stories about that, but I think nutrition is really key to healing. To get, curing maybe needs drugs, maybe needs surgery, but healing, which is what the body does naturally, is dependent upon a basis of the nutrients necessary for healing.
So why do you think so many cancer patients, I asked this of Dr. Margaret, why do you think so many patients, and you've had experience for 26 years, but why are people even more now searching for answers beyond conventional medicine?
Well, I think they've seen enough of the shortcomings that conventional medicine has. And frankly, I don't think conventional medicine was ever meant to be a standalone entity. However, it has become one. What conventional medicine has always needed has been the help of the naturopathic, and other aspects. And so it really works best when we integrate them all.
I absolutely agree with you. And that was what my dad did back in the 70s. Dr. Richardson combined, normal practice with normal practice with cutting edge practice in health and nutrition. So your career started off by this book, basically. Now, tell people the story about Dr. Binzel, how you came about meeting Dr. Binzel, who wrote the book Alive and Well, and was connected with my father. How did you originally come to meet him?
Well, a patient came to see me for a physical exam, and I discovered that they were healthy until I got to the 50-year-old male part, which is a prostate exam, and discovered they had lumps on their prostate. In mentioning, I'm going to send you to the urologist for evaluation, they said, okay, I'll go, but if it's cancer, I won't do what they say to do. Well, I was taken back. You got to know that this was 70 years ago. And it floored me because I didn't know why. My natural question was, why wouldn't you do what they say to do? And they said, because I'll do what Mom has been doing for 21 years. After she was told with ovarian cancer, you're stage 4, it's in the lungs, it's in the abdomen, it's like moldy bread in both areas. And they told her they wouldn't even offer her the chemo. And so she went home, but they did tell her to go visit family and friends, get her bucket list together and such. And her family lived in the area where Dr. Binzel was the physician. And so their family took his mother to Dr. Binzel, and she continued to live 29 years later with stage 4 ovarian cancer, essentially gone. So when he was found, and he did go for a biopsy of prostate and was indeed Gleason 9, a very aggressive, highly aggressive. However, he did not accept the prostatectomy, the radiation therapy, but instead saw Dr. Binzel. And the next day after he told me he wasn't going to do what they said to do, I said, why? He explained it all to me. He brought in a copy of your father's book and of Dr. Benzel's book for me to read. And so I used to give those out just like, most everybody I could as a new patient gift.
We're not hearing you. We're not hearing you right now real well, Dr. Murphy. I don't know. It always seems to be a technological problem, but we just couldn't hear you at the end there. It was breaking up, so I don't know if something is causing that or not. But it was thrilling when I first met you and we found out that the connection that we had, but we hadn't met each other in 26 years. So, Dr. Margaret, I'm going to go back to you and continue on, if you would. You came out and visited Dr. Murphy and shadowed him for a week. Tell the audience a little bit about your experience with this man, this hero who's been doing this 26 years, integrating nutrition and modern medicine.
Yes, I had a wonderful time. I went out there to Arizona not fully knowing what to expect. And really, honestly, for the IV Laetrile B17, I was thinking as an anesthesiologist, like, where's his crash cart? You know, where's the steroids? Where's all the allergic reaction things? How dangerous is it as an anesthesiologist? So I followed Dr. Murphy. I shouted him. I met a lot of patients. I saw a lot of the things that he was doing. And I'll tell you, one of the best things that I think any doctor can have as an educational program in the basics is a nutrition class. When I went to medical school in 1990 at Oral Roberts University, we were the only medical school in the country where that medical students had a nutrition class. And I know Dr. Murphy can verify that. You don't get much of that in medical school. So I'm grateful for his, not only his experience, but his knowledge and how he's applied it. And I had a wonderful time meeting people over there. And I was very pleased with how happy they were and how healthy they looked. And they told me lots of nice stories. And I was really happy to see the great outcomes.
Yeah, when I go there, every time I go there, it's like visiting with friends. Dr. Murphy, you want to check in? How's your microphone working?
I'm not sure. I think I'm muted at this minute.
No, I can hear you now. Yeah, great. So you're much clearer. So whatever you did, you were walking around, whatever you did, it's much clearer now. It was just a little choppy, but that's how it is when we're over the target. So, so now we're going to move on to, I think, what I'd like to do now is continue, Margaret, a little bit about how you feel about treating cancer in combination or treating it naturally. When you talk to somebody now, are you more inclined to talk to them about natural things first, maybe, or second, or in combination? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think the first question that I get from people is, can I do integrative cancer treatment and let my oncologist know about it, or get chemo, do them together? That's probably my most common question. And there's everything from, oncologists who kick out the patient because they want to do some alternative therapy versus somebody who doesn't want to tell their oncologist at all, but they see tumor shrinking on an MRI and they say to them, I get this repeatedly, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because they know they're doing something alternative. And then there's the other oncologists, like my husband's urologist, the oncologist for bladder cancer. He had stage 1 bladder cancer, did not metastasize or go through the muscle anywhere. I told him what we wanted to do. And maybe because I'm a doctor, but honestly, the first oncologist, the one who never gave informed consent for the chemo, it was saying, like, I don't even know how that would work, which I didn't even argue with him, because if you haven't looked it up and researched it yourself, then I'm not going to teach you. So the other oncologist, clearly the urologist, had looked it up and was perfectly fine with it. And like I said, he's been cancer-free for almost a year.
Yeah, for myself, I hear so many stories of that. I've got a couple stories I'd like to mention today, but it's so many stories of people that have used natural treatments. Of course, my dad treated over 6,000 patients. So the fact that you're hearing it now obviously gives me great hope, and I'm seeing it all over the place. So Drew, if you'd like to come back in right now and tell people about the next section, that'd be great. Are you available, Drew? If not,
here I am, John. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we what a great conversation so far, Dr. Murphy, Dr. Margaret. I think the more people that we can have to learn about these integrative options and what's available and what's out there, the better, right? This is what is saving lives. This is what's making a difference. That is that here at Gold Care, we do exactly this. We do this with our integrative cancer specialists. Dr. Murphy is one of them. And we do a lot of really great educational series. And you can even see our providers if you need to see a doctor or a coach or an advisor for some cancer care and some options for what you might be looking to do. So you can try Gold Care out. It's in the link there that's scrolling across your screen. It's goldcare.com/Dr. Gold. Please come check us out. We'd love to have you. And we'll take it back to the next section with you, John.
Thank you so much, Drew. Yeah, so now I want to get into, here we go. Dr. Murphy, if you can introduce this quick testimonial from one of your patients, that'd be fantastic. His name is Brad Roller. and he's got just about a minute testimonial.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the testimonial of a successful outcome from nutritional therapies, and Mr. Roller will probably tell most of the details. However, in my case, I think guiding people along the ways of getting the nutrients the body needs to fight cancer, and then the nutrients needed to detoxify itself, as well as boosting things like the immune system specifically to do the anti-cancer work that it knows how to do. So I'll let Mr. Roller give the story. I don't want to.
Awesome. Yeah, roll it with Roller.
Hi. So I have been to a lot of doctors for my prostate cancer reoccurrence, several functional doctors and also some traditional doctors. And the hour that I spent with Dr. Murphy was really incredible. And I learned a whole lot of things that I have never been aware of before, and some very simple things that I can do to enhance my ability to rid my body of prostate cancer. Dr. Murphy was really knowledgeable. He was fun to talk to. As you know, we have some fun cancer talk, and but really just a really incredible resource to be able to access through Gold Care for really a fraction of what it would cost if I had to go find him on my own. So thank you to all of you at Gold Care, and also in particular Dr. Murphy. Thank you so much. That was just an awesome time.
What a miraculous situation to work with Gold Care and have them referring cancer patients to a doctor who has so much experience with integrative therapy.
For any background static, I don't know what it's from. Sounds 60 hertz, but I apologize.
Well, we'll just continue in. Maybe bring Dr. Aranda in right now and talk about. You had a case. We're not going to mention her name because I don't think we've gotten permission from her. But you had a case that flew out. A friend of yours that flew out that I had seen several times at Dr. Murphy's, and she was getting lateral therapy among all the other therapies Dr. Murphy will get to talk about. Let's hope the technology allows him to do that. I can talk about them too because I've been a patient of Dr. Murphy's as well. But tell a little bit about the story about your friend that came out from, was it Ohio, or I can't remember where she came out from. Great lady.
Yeah. She had been given a diagnosis of ovarian cancer, and she went over there for the treatment, not knowing, like me, not knowing exactly what to expect. But she was really happy to meet other people that had already been through the therapy. And she was happy to also see the really interesting other additional treatments. And that, I think, was really key, because so many doctors, especially oncologists, will look at just treating cancer, like with chemo or radiation or surgery, and they ignore what you just said, the body's natural ability to fight cancer. Like, we love that she got on the pancreatic enzymes, trypsin and chymotrypsin, which removes the mucous membrane over some of the cancer cells and allows your own body to use its immune system, the natural killer cells, to find those cancer cells and kill them like they're supposed to. So I love that also he uses things like mistletoe that causes an immune reaction. He wants to see a little bit of a rash after a injection under the skin, and that lets him know just how aggressive that person's immune system is responding to everything. They mount a response. That's a good thing. So I just love the different approaches. It was like a snowball effect, he treats like a snowball has been going down a hill and is gathering momentum, but he's shooting different things at it from all different directions and making it just blast out of there. So I really love his approach. It's a whole person approach, I think, and not just looking at the cancer, like you mentioned, with the nutrition and the metabolic issues as well.
And you're finding with your own husband and his case that it's an ongoing thing that we need to do, or your research of this. I'm not asking a leading question. This is not something you just get treated like in normal oncology, you get treated for X a period of time and you're either cured or you're sent into more protocols. So when it comes to metabolic and nutritional therapy for cancer, it's pretty much a lifelong decision after that. Would you agree?
You bring up a great point. He was declared cancer-free in September of last year, and he is still taking everything that he was taking to become cancer-free. He's also doing other things, like he'll go in the sun and work outside and sweat, which is really good for you as well. Get a lot of sunshine, but he's doing everything that he was doing before and to keep it away, because those mesenchymal cancer cells that are the baby ones, they hide away, and he's trying to target those with fasting as well.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, and so my experience with Dr. Murphy, a little bit more about the story. If I don't know if he's going to be able to come back or not, hopefully he is. Like I've said, he's a dear friend. But he talked about Dr. Binzel, who introduced him to B17 and metabolic therapy. And the reason we always say B17 and metabolic therapy, it's simply, Dr. Margaret, and as you've seen the same thing, that they've demonized B17 so thoroughly over the last 50 years, when we have so much documentation about what an integral part B17 is in metabolic therapy. Dr. Binzel did the same story, and this is what he said in his book about my father. He said that Dr. John Richardson, in his long and difficult legal battles with the state of California over the use of nutritional therapy and Laetrile, or B17, the story of Dr. Richardson and his fight for the rights of his patients to choose the type of treatment they wanted became a best-selling book titled Laetrile Case Histories, which you know about that book. And Dr. Murphy said Dr. Binzel handed him a copy back in 26 years ago. In my opinion, according to Dr. Binzel, Dr. Richardson is one of the great heroes of medicine. And so the connection between Dr. John Murphy and myself has like I've said, caused us to finish each other's sentences. And so we've had private conversations that I'll tell people right now, with him giving me permission to say that things like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, he's basically found not a single case of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma that he wasn't able to resolve using metabolic therapy with B17, with mistletoe, with ozone, with even some of the other things like methylene blue. He's been able to, in his practice, have like 100% success rate with these therapies, including B17. So it's not just Dr. Murphy, it's not just Dr. Richardson, it's not just Dr. Binzel. There are now hundreds, if not thousands, of doctors across the United States, including Dr. Margaret Aranda, who are seeing success stories with metabolic therapy and integrative therapy. I told people earlier about the hospital in New York, an oncology hospital that's now willing to hear about integrative therapy, because their normal oncology, which we've been using chemo, radiation, and surgery for 50 years, has not had improved rates. But now if they're bringing in these integrative therapies, they're having improved rates. So that's a little bit about Dr. Murphy here. And so what I want to do now, Dr. Aranda, is go back over to you and further talk about what you've seen as far as some of the results with oncology treatments, standard oncology treatments and metabolic therapy. And even if you want to tell some case histories of stories that you've heard.
Well, I think it's really important as you're visualizing a cancer clinic, for example, that when you walk in and you see a little jar of candy there for the patients, I think that that's a very bad sign. People tell me that that's one of the things that they see, because we know that cancer cells and sugar, they like sugar, and that metabolic pathway feeds the cancer. When I went into Dr. Murphy's clinic, I was so happy that I didn't see any sugar candy anywhere. In fact, many of his patients fasted all the way through lunch. They were, and they looked good. There was nobody that I saw that was extremely skinny or cachectic, like we call it, that looked like they were gaunt and didn't have muscle mass. So he has a really good balance. And I love that he doesn't just treat the cancer. He's there to make sure that your body's fighting it by itself as well. He's maximizing the immune system. He's not feeding it sugar. He's encouraging people to fast, and he serves as an example. I've seen him work, and his wife work through lunch. And so it's really good to see that, the stories of people telling me that their cancer shrunk, that they're cancer free, but they're still doing the same therapies. They're trying to get their levels up again with the IV therapy. They're, testing their immune system with the mistletoe. They're getting different labs done to check their liver, et cetera. There's a lot that goes into it. There are a lot of specialized labs. And so I love how integrative he is. He's very numbers driven with labs. If you go to a regular doctor's office, a lot of times they don't want to check all your labs, because if they find something abnormal, then they are obligated to fix it. And so they don't want to know what's not normal, because then it's more work for them, and they only have 15 minutes with you if they're lucky. So I love that he spent so much time with people, and I would typically spend, an hour with somebody, whatever it takes, whenever they need something. I like him. I give people my cell phone, they can text me, etc. So you develop a relationship, and people have questions, and their husbands and their wives have questions. But the most encouraging thing that I love to hear from people is, thank you for giving me my wife back. I never heard that as an anesthesiologist. I would walk in and put people to sleep, and if I did my job right, they wouldn't even remember me. Or because I was in the ICU all the time, my patients were all unconscious. So they for sure never remembered me. So that was like I had a pain clinic, and my patients said that to me too. But I love that a diagnosis of cancer that a lot of people equate with a rapid death or a terrible decline before death can be changed, so that C word doesn't have to be as bad as you think it is.
Yeah, well, all excellent points. So what I'd like to go into now, Dr. Margaret, is, a lot of people watching today hear apricot seeds or Laetrile or B17, or these terms that we throw about. And so they'll do their own research, and they'll find out, they'll hear the cyanide word. And so we talked to Dr. Murphy pre-show, and he was talking about how, not to take any thunder away from you, but he was talking about how there really is no lethal dose of IV B17. You can take, 10, 15, 20 grams of Laetrile, purified amygdalin in IV. And my dad did it, and all these doctors done it without ever any toxic report. But tell the audience what you discovered when you researched the cyanide story of B17, and take a little bit of time to tell the audience that story.
Sure. And that's what I do as an anesthesiologist. I look at drugs, their onset, their dose, their duration, their side effects, et cetera. So it was very early on. One of the first things I researched, I went to PubMed, PubMed.com, where all the research papers in the entire world are hosted by our government. And I looked up, I put in 2 key words, apricot seeds. Well, that's 3 words, those 2 plus cyanide. And I wanted to research, okay, so who's died, like who had bad side effects, who had high cyanide levels, et cetera. And it went all the way back to like 1962. And there were only about, 35, 40 papers written. And most of them were not even human studies. A lot of them were lab studies or just general reviews of it. So if I looked at the human studies, there were only 15. And a lot of those were groups of people, like groups of children in Turkey, for example, repetitively over the years, with some skipped years, 9 kids here, 10 kids there, 15 kids somewhere else, somebody in Jerusalem, somebody in Bolivia. They supposedly had cyanide toxicity, but no cyanide levels. And if I focused on the America stories, there was a 65-year-old man with liver failure who, you need your liver to inactivate the cyanide ion. He passed away. So the paper actually said he had a rhodonase deficiency, and that's the enzyme in the liver that inactivates it. So God made it so that when you eat apricot seeds, the cancer cells make more cyanide than your normal cells do, and they don't have that rhodonase enzyme in there. So that stays there, and that's what kills them. Your normal cells get rid of it. So God made our bodies to be able to eat apricot seeds and to focus their action specifically on cancer cells. So I was really pleased to learn that not one death in America has ever been described. And, it's just not, that's in the last 64 years. And, so I just put a stop to that thought.
So when you read these case histories and these studies, did you read about them trying to pull blood to find out if someone had an upset stomach or was really ill from eating too many apricot seeds, which can happen for all sorts of physiological reasons that aren't bad for you, but they, if you eat too much ice cream or you eat too much vitamin C, you can get an upset stomach without harming yourself. But the point I'm trying to make is, did you read about or read about what they said when they drew blood or tried to find cyanide actively in the body?
None of those studies on any of those children tested for cyanide levels. None of them did. And part of the reason why is because that cyanide test didn't even come out until decades later. And Dr. Murphy tests a surrogate marker of cyanide, which is thiocyanate. That's the inactive compound that your body metabolizes, that normal cells through the liver metabolize cyanide too. So, but they didn't even test for that. And I even wrote the authors of the paper in Turkey where the children died, and I suggested to them, since it's geographically in the same place, the same children in that area, the same field of apricot seeds or thereabouts, the same time of the year, maybe you should get them tested for rhodonase deficiency. And they never replied to me.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent point. You told me that, and you were kind of excited about that about that theory. Because even in the cases where someone supposedly died 60 years ago, they never even followed up to test whether they had rhodonase deficiencies. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell a story because there's so many stories that people don't hear about, such as Rick Hill, a 50-year cancer survivor who you've met, who was told by the Mayo Clinic that he, at the age of 24, that he was not going to have long to live unless he did chemo radiation surgery immediately. He did do some surgery, but then he went right into metabolic therapy, including the enzymes you talked about, trypsin and chymotrypsin, B15 and B17. And Rick is alive today at 75, 51 years later, and he wrote a book, Too Young to Die. So that's one case history that's still available to be interviewed and be talked about from people. We have Shane Horton, who is a case history in my dad's book, Laetro Case Histories. Shane is an Alaskan king crab fisherman who came to my dad. I have these sticky notes so I don't lose the place. Came to my dad when he was 6 years old, and he's now 61 years old. He was diagnosed with osteosarcoma of the upper arm, and it had spread to the spine, and into his bone marrow and into his organs. And he was given weeks to live, and he's still alive today. And then another story, Chris Yackman, who was on page 242 or 242 of my father's book. This is such a great story because she was 12 years old, diagnosed with leukemia, and she went through a whole therapy at, again, Mayo Clinic for a year. And every child that was there with her passed away during that year period of time, except her. And she, instead of continuing on in the therapy that she was doing, which making her lose half of her weight and be sick, she went to my dad back in 1974 and was treated for leukemia and is alive today. She said she reached out to me about 3 months ago after seeing me on a podcast and told me, John, I'm the little girl that was 12 years old at the time of her initial diagnosis of leukemia in your dad's book. I had never even heard from Chris Yackman before. She lost touch of our family, so I had never heard from her. So again, Margaret, it's not just a couple stories from Dr. Murphy or a couple stories from my dad. There's these people that are out there that are still surviving and thriving after choosing metabolic therapy along with standard therapy, and they've survived. And there's so many more stories. We get thousands of them. And I'll tell one more story. And that's of a CEO of a company called Satellite 123. She's from San Diego. Her name is Tina Blanco, and she had thyroid cancer. And when she bumped into me, she said she had a surgery scheduled for 2 weeks later. Well, when she met me, I said, "Hey, no problem. I understand your doctor is suggesting you have thyroid, remove your tumor, but why don't you give metabolic therapy and the Richardson method a chance? Why don't you, Tina, give it a chance and see how it works for you? And then if you need to do the metabolic, the normal oncology, you have time to do that." That's one of the things that people need to understand, is that you have time. When you have a cancer diagnosis, you have time. Well, when I bumped into Tina about 3 weeks ago in St. George, Utah, at a Health Utah conference, she told me she was cancer-free. She had been diagnosed cancer-free. She was ecstatic that she was doing fantastic, and she wanted to tell the world about metabolic therapy, including B17, because she had seen nothing but censorship. And organizations like Gold Care actually allow us to tell these stories and let people hear about them. So what are your thoughts about those stories I just mentioned, Dr. Margaret, and what do you think about what's going on in our field right now?
Well, I think this is so hopeful to people. I think a lot of times they lose their hope when they hear the word cancer. And if you don't have cancer, and if you see how many of the people in the world are getting it, it's really good to educate yourself, learn about it, research it yourself, convince yourself, and think about what you would do if it happened to you. I eat 25 apricot seeds a day, and I've never had cancer. I fast regularly. I do 18 to 24-hour fasts extremely regularly, and I've never had cancer. And that's just a part of the lifestyle that I have chosen to go ahead and have. I think it's also important to note, with all of these discussions and all of these cases, that B17 is not a silver bullet. It's not a solo therapy like chemo might be, in a way, if they're just using one drug.
100%.
Right? It goes along with the diet, the pancreatic enzymes. My husband takes vitamin C. He's drinking chlorophyll. He's, doing all kinds of things. I have a whole list of the things that he does. And you know what? I had him own it, because in the beginning I was looking things up. I'm like, look at this. It says this about the cancer, and bladder cancer specifically. I think you should maybe try this. And, at the beginning, he wasn't doing his own research. And then he would say, "Oh, just tell me what to take and I'll take it." But eventually he wasn't taking it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to stop telling you what to take. You decide what you want to take. You write it down. You start ordering everything, and you do it, because you have to do this on your own. I can't do it for you. And you brought up another point that was really good. People are telling me that they get a diagnosis of cancer. The oncologist can't even see them for a month or 2 months. It depends on where they are. So what are you going to do in the meantime? I tell them, start fasting. Start researching, start doing things. It's your life, it's your body. There are things that you can do. Stop eating sugar.
Oh, that's one of the key ones. And on page, if anybody, I feel like I'm promoting my dad's book, but I just like to say it. I'm not trying to promote my dad's book. I'm trying to promote the lifestyle that my dad said, that if people just ate the right foods, we could wipe out cancer in our lifetime. As a matter of fact, a book that I've shared with you, it's called The Little Cyanide Cookbook. And it's a little bit funny. I heard somebody laugh in the background. It's not a book about how to kill somebody with cyanide. It's a tongue-in-cheek way to say that if you just eat these foods that are full of these nitrillicides, which the body breaks apart only in the presence of the enzyme beta-glucosidase, it then kills the cancer so that it doesn't metastasize. Again, like Dr. Margaret said, it's not a silver bullet, because once the tumor metastasizes, there's a whole bunch of other things your body needs: vitamin C, vitamin D, good food, good clean air, clean water, prayer, so many things. And there's even more. And I'm gathering more new things: Asiac tea and black seed oil and soursop tea, all of these great things for the body's immune system, so that if you can understand that cancer is a deficiency disease, meaning your body's immune system is deficient in something, and that's what allows it to affect you. Is Dr. Murphy back? I hear some some background noise. Dr. Murphy, are you available?
I think so.
Oh,
yes.
oh, fantastic, Dr. Murphy, wonderful. Let me finish this statement that my dad said in this book, Little Sinai Cookbook. If every family could enjoy the meals from this book, we'd soon have no more cancer patients. Let us hasten the day. My dad believed that. He gave his life for that. And so many more doctors that I could mention today, but we're here with my two heroes and friends. Dr. Murphy, tell people a little bit about your belief about if they just ate the right foods, what that would do for them.
Well, there's a lot less in the diet. In fact, you can't find it in the grocery stores anymore. But in the days before the 1950s and 60s, there was field corn instead of sweet corn. I mean, the grains that were there were not depleted and therefore didn't need to be enriched. And so we had it in our diet, and the rates of cancer were 20-fold less than they are since they've been removed from the diet. If one were to think conspiratorially, well, I don't want to go there, but it's just been left out of the diet. They said, let's get sweet corn. It tastes better. Naturally, B17 has a little bitter taste to it. I like it, but sweet corn is tastier than field corn, yet field corn was what was growing on this continent for many centuries before we changed it to sweet corn. And the same thing can be said about the grains that are now, triticale and durum wheats that are very low or non-existent B17. So it's really been the food supply. And your dad was exactly right. If we could get everybody eating out of her book, June Spain's book, it
an
would be
ex-FDA agent, by the way, ex-FDA pharmacologist. People don't realize that she was with the FDA when she wrote this. I mean, she wrote the book after she was with the FDA.
And I take apricot seeds or the supplement B17 every day. When food has its nutrition depleted, that's when supplements come about. You didn't see supplements when I was a child. Oh, maybe a little vitamin C sometimes, but there was not supplements. Now there are. I mean, the 1960s and beyond, people have been increasing the use of supplements. And you know why? In my opinion, it's because there's not enough nutrition in the food supply.
I 100% agree with that. Dr. Margaret Aranda, I want to bring you in right now. Why do you think that doctor, MD, or naturopathic education is so important about these things? Were you taught this in medical school? And if not, what do you think is why it's so important for the future health practitioners to learn this stuff now?
Well, I definitely was taught quite a bit about nutrition in my first year of medical school, and that instilled in me the importance of nutrition. And I was fasting even before there was such a thing as intermittent fasting. Like I just did it all the time because I felt better. And that causes your body to recycle old cell debris, et cetera. It's very healthy for you. But I'll say too that we put our money where our mouth is. We sold our house. We moved a little bit to the boonies, and my husband's a plant scientist also, so he germinates, and we grow our own vegetables. We've got zucchini, tomatoes, cantaloupe, all kinds of stuff, cucumbers, herbs. We have everything. And I can tell you, if I go to the grocery store and I make like a zucchini pizza with zucchini as the base and then tomato and onion and different things like that, I will actually urinate green. But if I buy that from the grocery store, I don't, because I never saw myself do that before. So there's something about growing your own food that I think goes back to what Dr. Murphy was saying.
Absolutely. So Dr. Murphy, talk a little bit about in your practice, what are the outcomes that you're most excited about? I mentioned while you're away about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. What other types of cancers are you seeing great results with?
Mainly with sarcomas such as osteosarcoma, and also with ovarian cancer. That's another area that seems to be very, very productive to have the right nutrients and the metabolic therapies. But non-Hodgkin's lymphoma seems to be a cinch, as well as many of the sarcomas. And in my case, I got to tell you, I don't see sarcomas as the first doctor. I'm usually the doctor of last resort, but they're alive and well. And just like the patient I said 26 years ago who told me about the nutrient B17, he is alive and well today. And I mean, he had a Gleason 9 prostate cancer as a 50-year-old. So, you know, it's just really getting the body to do what it knows how to do and giving it the nutrition that it needs to do that.
And why do you think it's so important to, add different therapies so that they're not just, you're not just doing one at a time? Why do you think it's so important when it comes to a disease like cancer or other things that you're treating at your practice? Why do you think it's so important to kind of bring in all of the different modalities?
Well, I think the body needs the multi-prong approach, and our immune system has to be supported. So some therapies are, like B17, quite good at preventing metastatic spread. Some nutrients are better at boosting the body's immune system response, cellular response to cancer. Some nutrients are actually just growth factor blockers, and they can stymie the growth of cancer just by drinking a couple cups of green tea or having some curried spice in your diet.
Excellent. I love that. Excellent answer, because recently, maybe this audience will be hearing this for the first time. I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. Now, whether or not I ever really had cancer or something else or whatever it was, I went and sought my good friend, Dr. Murphy, and we started a absolute approach to healing myself that I took about 40 days to feel so much better. And I felt great and felt fantastic. And Dr. Murphy was right there with me. But like other patients that are not too smart, like Dr. Murphy's had, I went back to my same lifestyle. I went back to doing all the things I was doing before. I was speaking, flying across, seeing my good friend, Dr. Margaret in Missouri, staying up late, doing all that stuff. And I got sick again. And so Dr. Murphy recommended that I get an MRI to see what was going on. And we found that I had a apple core lesion on my colon caused by something that I'm not going to really say today, but I would like to in the future tell people what I believe it was caused by. But I want to talk to Dr. Murphy about it. But we thought at that time, Dr. Murphy thought I should get surgery. He thought I should remove a little section of this apple core lesion. And we had a little tiff between us, a very friendly tiff because we love each other. But I said, Dr. Murphy, I don't think I've given Dr. Binzel's program, your program, or my dad's program the full weight of what I should have done. I don't think I've really given it. So I want to go back to what we're doing, stop working and do everything that I was supposed to do. And to make that long story short, I came back to my second MRI 3 months later, and things had shrunk, things had gotten better, things had disappeared. And my good friend, Dr. Murphy, said with a little tear in his eye that, John, you were right. And I think I've learned something after 26 years that maybe we can, even in this world where we're normally we just say, cut it out quickly, that if we give metabolic therapy a chance, that maybe we can do it. And I've avoided any surgery, any chemo, and any radiation. So I think, Dr. Murphy, you've had some additional patients that have chosen that same path after hearing my story. So yeah. Tell people about that. That's kind of groundbreaking information that nobody else has really heard about.
They are definitely doing well. And whereas I try to integrate the therapies, I may not have given the degree of confidence that I now have in metabolic nutritional therapies. And yeah, you were right on. And it's surprising to some extent. And at the same time, it's not. You've done great work, John. And I do want to mention the other thing that I forgot to mention when you ask about the cases where the nutritional metabolic therapy with B17, B15, the trypsin, chymotrypsin, and that is with pleural effusions, which are malignant. Lung fluid is what we call that, I guess, and it seems to resolve within 3 to 4 months in almost every case. It's rather amazing. I've got to say, I wish that NIH would research it more.
Well, we're gonna make sure that happens, and we're doing all sorts of things. And it's a good thing it's not just us three. There's a whole bunch of us that are out here fighting the battle, and I've met some even additional ones recently. But the people that allowed us to come here and talk to this audience, those people that are watching, is this amazing organization called Gold Care, who absolutely is bringing together both standard care and this what we call metabolic therapy, or Western and Eastern medicine kind of together, and bringing you doctors like Dr. Margaret Aranda and Dr. John Murphy. So let's take a little bit of time here at the end to say how wonderful a program Gold Care is, that it's getting patients in touch with doctors, great doctors like you.
Yeah.
Dr. Murphy.
I really love Gold Care, and I've just been, fixed on helping patients through Gold Care platforms. But it's not just me; it's the thousands of doctors and hundreds of doctors and thousands of patients who support Gold Care that are keeping this freedom of healthcare and the open-minded approach, including natural, conventional, and all types of healthcare, integrating it through one platform. That's why Gold Care is the best. I mean, I'm going to be with Gold Care for a long time to come.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy. Me too. I love all the people at Gold Care. Dr. Margaret, we have a couple seconds left. Talk about, hype up, let people know, doctors or anybody watching, about the training program you're going to be doing for B17 and metabolic therapy.
Yes, we're going to walk through everything for practitioners, from what B17 amygdalin IV Laetrile is, all the way to how to use it, how to test and do different things. So it's going to be 6 modules, and there'll be questions at the end of each one. It'll be very basic, but an understandable and a little tiny bit repetitive, just so that you're getting it straight.
Awesome. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a badge that Gold Care is going to offer. So reach back out to us. Drew, I don't know if we can bring you back in, or that's the end.
Thank you so much, John. Wonderful topic, wonderful conversation. Dr. Margaret, Dr. John Murphy. The cancer topic is big. There's a lot to be said. I feel like we could talk for another hour or two and barely scratch the surface. The point I'm bringing up is that when you mentioned at the end about Gold Care, is that all of this happens, these conversations, every single day on the Gold Care platform. We do classes weekly. You can rewatch all of these town halls. You can see classes from Dr. Murphy, doctors like Dr. William Mackis up in Canada. We've had some amazing cancer specialists teach all about cancer and what you can do, integrative options. John, you said you didn't want to promote your book. I'll promote your book for you, A World Without Cancer. You can see in the background of your screen. I think Dr. Margaret's got a copy. Mine's over there on the bookshelf. Great book. You can learn all about what John and Richardson Nutritional Center is doing. You can go to goldcare.com, visit our store. We have the products that were being talked about and mentioned here, the apricot seeds, B17, Laetrile, all those things are available on the Gold Care store. And we just want you to join us. If you want to make a change and you want to see a difference and you want to try something new, it's Gold Care. Goldcare.com/Dr. Gold. We'll give you 30 days free. Come and join us. Come and see what we're doing. Learn all about cancer and the many other medical topics we have. And then be on the lookout for next month's town hall. We'll be sending information out soon. John, Dr. Margaret, Dr. Murphy, thank you so much. God bless you guys and have a great night.
Do you feel like the healthcare system is failing you? That's because it is, working exactly as intended to prioritize profits, bureaucracy, and big pharma, while leaving you and your family vulnerable when you need care the most. We understand your frustration. You've been asked to trust a system that feels rushed, impersonal, and biased. You deserve better. That's why we created Gold Care. Here, your values matter, your choices matter, and most importantly, you matter. Gold Care is more than a solution. It's a revolution. Trusted by over 10,000 members nationwide, we've built a system that puts your wellness first. With ethical, independent doctors who work for you, not the system, you'll have access to care that's transparent, trustworthy, and aligned with your values. We understand that stepping away from the familiar can feel daunting, but staying in a system that doesn't truly serve you is even harder. That's why Gold Care offers a healthcare alternative designed to work for you. Whether you're ready to step away from the system entirely or prefer to keep your insurance while seeking the transparent care, ethical doctors, and education you deserve, it's time to stop trusting a system that's failed you. Take control of your health with Gold Care. Join today for $17 a month and become part of a healthcare revolution. Gold Care, built for you, powered by freedom, trusted by thousands.